Awesome.
Okay, cool. So let's focus on now a typical everyday workflow for your ideal customer. So in your case, I
Great.
think you'd probably be focusing on tell me if I'm wrong, but the preparation of of an advisory. You've got a meeting coming up with a client to go through their financials. What would you do in ProfitSee to prepare for that that workflow? What would that be? And then obviously, what could you do with the client at the meeting to help make more sense of that information and also adjust it for what's changing in the business?
Perfect. Great. Yeah, so really, where everything starts within Prophecy from an everyday use case. So, really what our advisors are able to tell their clients is that one, they're monitoring the financial health of their business on a daily basis. And they can say that and know and say confidently that they are doing that. And so that's going to start right away with coming into the advisor dashboard, and you're just going to take a gauge of how all of your clients are doing. What we do within Prophecy is we're going to color code. We're going to use things to kind of call out some of the helpful bits of information that you need to see. So here right away I can see that some of these companies with this higher risk score, they've got that darker red square here. That's telling me that this client has something going on with them that's not great in the financials. And I can come all the way down and I can see down here this company is my best performing company. So right away I can start to see where do I need to go. So I'm going to go into one of our demo companies here, Zephyr Designs Minneapolis. This is a graphic design firm demo file that we've created. And so if I'm going to be getting ready for a client meeting or kind of my everyday use, it really starts with historical analysis and reporting. That's where you're going to come. So you might come in here to this home dashboard, and you're going to start to see is there any good news or bad news that Prophecy is calling out around their financials. Here I can see that their advertising spend is fairly high over what they had projected for this month. I can see our office supplies as well, and even here our consulting income is down. So right away I can start to see something's going on here in the business. The clients aren't coming in like they expected. Some expenses are out of control. Maybe we ordered too much at the beginning of the year, order now for some advanced projects coming up. But these are the types of things that an advisor can now quickly pull out of their statements. We can come over to our financials tab here, and I might take a look at my profit and loss for the month to date or year to date, and I might even choose my comparison period to see, okay, how are we performing against last year. This then would be a report I might want to provide directly to a client. So I can actually click this print button, click generate PDF, and it's going to pull up a full PDF preview of this report we were just viewing. I might, after having reviewed it, I might have a few elements that I want to call out, for a client, so I can actually add some notes directly to this PDF right in here. I can format it and click save, and it's going to actually automatically update this PDF with my notes in here. This might be something really urgent that I want to show a client that I found, so I can actually send it directly to them, directly from the product, right here. And if I want, I can also download it for my meeting later in the day or later in the week that I might be having with them. I can download that as well. And because I've set up my branding, all these reports are going to be white labeled with my accounting firm or my advisory firm's logo and name on there as well. But after I've maybe reviewed the P&L and the cash flow statement and the balance sheet, I've kind of got a good idea of where we've been at historically. So I might my services might stop there. They might just be some kind of historical and real-time analysis of what's going on, and that's where we see a lot of those accountants who are starting to come into the advisory services. This is really where they come to. They might come down here to our reporting tab. And we can build that full template of a report. I can add in my table of contents, executive summary, all the different reports that we just reviewed, and I can save this, and I can actually set a schedule so that it's automatically emailed out to a client. So we see some advisors who they do that. They've set it up that the client's going to get a monthly report from them on their performance for the previous quarter, that previous month, and they can review that as well. And so literally an accountant can automate this, and it's always going to send out the most up-to-date financials. So they literally don't have to touch it if they don't want to. If we're providing more than just that historical analysis and some of those reports that go along with that, kind of the next step of where we see might be in our budgeting, with our budgeting features, and that might be under, I'm going to be building a budget for this next year for my client. So I might come into our budget wizard and I'll click my Generate New Budget button, and we're going to do it for our fiscal year 2016. So I'll click Generate. And what ProfitSee's done is it's now analyzed all those historical financials. It's looking at things like seasonality, trending, anomalies in accounts, and it's going to weight and do those projections. And really just in that click of a button, I've been now able to build a full one-year budget projection. And something that I might do with this, I might just print this off in those PDF reports that I'm going to be providing to a client, or email it off to a client, so they can review the budget that I've built. The other thing that I might do as an advisor is I might actually work with my client on the budget because they're going to have a good day-to-day feel of how the financial performance of the company has been. So they might want to make some tweaks. So something that I can do directly within ProfitSee, because it is completely white labeled, I can actually build a client dashboard. And this is something that my client can log into directly from my website. It's going to be all my branding, all my logo, and I might give them access to the budget. And I'm going to give them full access to make edits as well. And when I do that, now they can come into their portal in their dashboard, and they can make edits to the budget. And we might be able to do this back and forth, saving us time from having to email spreadsheets back and forth, saving us time from maybe even phone calls or a lot of emails back and forth. And once we've finalized a budget, I can come back in and I can actually turn off the budget, and I can say I don't want you to have, no longer do I want you to have access to it, because that's something I'm just going to use for my analysis now. So a lot of flexibility on how I want to work with my client, whether it be from the in providing them the reports all the way up to giving them access, and it's just a value add when you come work with me. You get access to these tools. So it's really a range depending on how you like to do that. Once I've maybe done my budgeting services, I'm starting to look a little bit more at some of the real-time and forecasted performance. So I might come over now to the Analyst Report, and I'm going to start to look at both my historical trending. So I can hover my mouse and see, okay, our consulting income has consistently been down. This might be reason to go back and reevaluate the budget. This is definitely something I'm going to want to, talk with my client about and see kind of what's going on. But I might even look to start building some additional strategies with them on how to maybe right the ship and, turn this financial situation around. And so this really starts to move me into more of the advanced forecasting services that I can do for my client. And that's going to be found under here in the forecasting tab in ProfitSee. And the first of these things is going to be our three-way cash flow forecasting that I can do. So in that time that load screen appeared, ProfitSee has actually done very similar to what the budgeting tool was, in that it analyzed all the historical financials for the business. It's looking at how quickly are we paying our bills and invoices. It's looking back at historically how have we been paying our VAT or GST taxes. How quickly are we paying those on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis. How are those fluctuating with our revenues and sales. It's also looking at do I have any loan principal payments, any other cash movements that the company might experience, and it's going to give a true 3-year projection on what those cash movements and that cash in hand looks like for that business. So here I can see, I can really drill down into all the numbers as I want. ProfitSee just kind of keeps it nice and clean for me when I start. And I can actually toggle now between 3 years. And so, for example, with this company, we're already projecting that we're going to be upside down in April of 2017. And this is an issue because this means they have no cash left in the bank, and this company needs to figure something out. So what myself as the accountant or the advisor I can do is I can actually click this Build a Strategy button, and I can now start to build in some kind of what-if situations for this business to see how we might be able to turn that around. Because ProfitSee has done and automated this baseline projection, I can now come in and say, well, maybe I suggest to the client that they should look at taking an additional loan out. Or maybe we make some adjustments to monthly expenses. Maybe we even adjust our collection assumptions for our receivables and payables. So historically, they've been collecting maybe 90% of their receivables. Maybe we think they can do better, or maybe even we're going to project they're going to do worse because we know, in fact, that coming up, they've got some difficult clients they're going to be dealing with. We can make some adjustments there. The final piece, and probably the biggest thing I can do, is I can actually add in scenarios. And so these scenarios are going to take me over to another feature within ProfitSee, and that's our what if scenario tool. And this really all starts with building a project, because as we know, any type of decision in a business is always multifaceted. And so we might say, this client is looking to open up a completely new sales channel. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say they're going to open up a new sales channel. And now it's going to give me this quick little dialog to enter in all the variables relevant with opening up a new sales channel. So I would enter these in and I'd click Save. And I might say, okay, along with this new sales channel, I'm going to run some advertising around that. So I'll fill out the quick dialog here for that. And I might even think, we're going to hire on a new sales hire who's going to manage this whole sales channel and really help build it up. And we might even add a few sales hires. But I can click on that, and now I can update the relevant variables with that. And what I've done now is I can come over, I'll finish my project and click Save. And I'll come over to the View tab. And now I can quickly show myself and my client how these types of business decisions are going to affect the cash flow. And here we're looking at more of a short term, how is this going to affect cash flow? And both I show it in a graph and I can also show it in a report, so I can really drill down into the numbers. How is this going to be affecting things? I can stack as many projects as I want, so I might pull this, the white labeled version of this up during a client meeting and show them a good, better, best option. And say, here's good, better, best for opening up that new sales channel, and here's kind of where we think you might fall. And in turn, here's how that's going to affect your cash flow. I can also generate PDF reports, and I can print that out for my client. But ultimately, once I've built some scenarios, I can come back to my three-way cash flow forecasts. And when I'm back in my building a strategy, I can now click this Add Scenarios box, and I can add in any of those projects I've just built. So in this case, I've added in my sample project, and we can come down here, and we can see I've been able to, for this company, to turn around their projected cash flow. So really, this is going to be probably the most advanced, one of the most advanced things I can do for a client, and it's something that I can rely and trust on, that the algorithms are running automatically. I might need to make some adjustments to some of the baseline just because I might want to adjust how maybe going forward they're going to be paying VAT annually rather than quarterly. Adjustments like that, I can make some of those and create that projection going forward. The other thing that I might do is really start to use some of the KPIs. So ProfitSee is going to help me track and monitor KPIs for my SME client. So I have a number of different ratios that I can track and monitor. I can click on any one of these and I can see their historical performance. I can set target values. I can set lower limits and upper limits. So if they fall outside of these, I can even set a notification to where I get notified if my client falls outside of their desired range. If my client has logged into their client dashboard and I've given them access, they can actually opt to have them be notified as well themselves if a KPI falls outside of that desired range. Maybe I'm wanting to track some KPIs that are non-financial. Maybe looking at revenue per square foot or other elements like that. I can build a custom KPI directly in here, and I can have that generated in the report that I can provide to my clients. So I can click that generate PDF again, and it's going to load a preview of the report that I can provide. I can add in that commentary, and it's going to tell me everything about the various ratios. It's going to tell me what they're calculating, how they're calculated, and it's going to look dynamically and say, what's the trend of this KPI? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is there issues with it? And it's going to automatically generate content for how they can improve any of their KPIs. So myself as an advisor, it's as simple as coming in and clicking the generate PDF, and now I have a dynamic report individualized for my client, and they're both historical and real-time performance for any of their KPIs. So I have a lot of options based on the types of services that I might provide and how I've set those up. But ProfitSee is really going to give the accountant, the advisor, the flexibility to provide those in the way that they might currently be doing, or in the ways that they've always dreamed about doing.
That's excellent. Very good. Thank you. That was a great way to take it through the workflow. And as you said, you stopped at certain points where you might just stop at that point and not use any of those extra features, but that's something you can continue to help once you work through that process and show it all the way through. Awesome. Very good. Alrighty. In this